All right, everybody, and we're back with another episode from Card Pantheon's podcast. And once again, I'm your host, John, and I'm being joined again by
Chris.
Hey, yo. So thank you to everyone that actually watched our podcast. The last I checked, no one found the zombie in the last podcast. So I'm going to show what we're going to be giving away if someone can find the zombie in this podcast episode. So give me 1 second to go grab that.
Oh, yeah.
So we are going to be giving away this guy here, Cleavor V-Star. So he's like the new region's form of Scizor and Scyther.
It looks pretty neat, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it comes with like a V-Star token, it comes with a pin, comes with their coin, and then a couple of promo cards, and then the giant card, and then a bunch of packs to open. So
no, that looks great, honest.
Yeah. And also, I know I kind of cucked everyone here and like said I was going to tell you how the term mill came up, and I never did in the last episode. Chris, you've had a whole week to think about it. How do you think the term milling the deck came up?
It's not General Mills.
No, it's not General Mills.
No. Why don't you enlighten us, John? Let's fill us up with the knowledge.
Yeah, so as I'm sure a lot of you know, the first TCG ever was Magic the Gathering, and Magic the Gathering had a card called Millstone. Future John edited up a picture of Millstone up here in the corner. Anyway, and Millstone read something to the effect of send the top X amount of cards to from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. And that was a very good strategy because your opponent losing resources is always a good thing. And so it's kind of stuck. And then eventually it evolved into more and more cards had this effect. And then they realized that they need a term for it, a keyword. You know, Magic was one of the first games to utilize keywords to make it easy and digestible to figure out what a card does. I wish Yu-Gi-Oh would do that. But anyway, eventually it became Mill. M-I-L-L. And that's how we got Mill, from the card Millstone. Came out in 1994.
The more you know.
Yep. And anyway, while we're on the topic of key terms, what was the first key term, do you think, to be printed on a Magic card?
First, is it magic?
Yep, it's magic. Yes, it's magic. No, it is not magic. Oddly enough, they don't have a key term for their text that's magic.
I want a refund.
Right? It was probably too confusing.
Double the magic. Was it like a status effect?
No.
Oh.
Nope. It was a monster key term that's still used to this day in Magic, if that helps you at all. If you can't figure it out, we'll cuck everyone again and tell them at the beginning of next episode.
Next episode, do your research. Yeah.
So in the comments below, make sure you comment what you think the first key term in Magic to be invented in Magic was. I'm pretty sure it'll surprise you.
Perfect.
So as anyone who's returning knows, we're doing this podcast just to nerd out and kind of chill and whatnot. For anyone just joining us, Chris and I are part owners of the card shop Card Pantheon. You can check out our website, cardpantheon.com. And yeah, this is our podcast. It doesn't really have a title, Card Pantheon podcast, as of right now. If anyone has any good title ideas, put that down in the comments below as well. But we use this time just so you get to know us, and we can get to know you a little bit through the comments, and we can just nerd out. So, Chris, what nerdy things have you been up to this week?
I've been doing loads, honestly. Because I was sick with Corona, I had all this extra spare time to actually catch up on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching the heck out of all the Disney Plus shows. I watched episode 3 of Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah. How's that?
Yeah. It's surprisingly different. Like I thought I was gonna get tired because a lot of these shows, like The Mandalorian and eventually the Book of Boba Fett, had to do a lot with Tatooine, and it's just a sand planet, and I've seen it enough between the films and everything else. So the fact that they're having a more generalized focus on characters and character development, I think is absolutely freaking wonderful. I think this is a good direction that Disney finally going into. But yeah, I mean, I've been trying to catch up. I mean, we are living in the golden age of television where all these streaming services and they're just churning out more and more content. It's hard to whittle out what's worth it and what's not. So I'm kind of glad I got caught up with a lot of the better shows, honestly.
Dude, isn't it crazy that like the Earth's been around for millions of years and we happen to exist now?
Oh,
like,
I know.
Like, you know, we could have existed like even just 20 years sooner. Like if we were born in the freaking 70s instead of the 90s, like we would have been like behind on all this technology. We would have had to live 20 years of our lives with nothing.
Yeah, just listening to the radio and
dude, the radio wasn't even that consistent back then.
Exactly. So yeah, no, we're very fortunate, honestly. I mean, heck, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have even been able to do this podcast, let alone,
communicate 1,300 miles apart.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude. All right. So for our listeners at home and watchers, just so you know, I'm in Colorado where our operation is based out of, and Chris is over in California. So he's been one of my best friends since like junior high, ever since he punched me in the face for stealing his basketball.
Rightfully deserved. My little spaghetti arms.
Yeah, that was the craziest part. Like, I felt like Chris Rock, when Will Smith slapped him, he's like, wow, I just got slapped by Will Smith. It was like the same moment. Like, now that I have something to compare it to, that's exactly what it was. It was like, you punched me, and then I was like, wow, he just punched me.
You're more stunned than you were hurt. Like,
yeah.
Your brain wasn't computing. You're like,
Yeah, my brain wasn't sure how to take what had happened.
That one punch, that one anime shonen jump punch really sealed the deal,
Yep. That's how you become lifelong friends, just in case no one knew. So I do apologize to everyone at home for last episode. The recording kind of flubbed up, so we didn't have much video. But I'm going to make it up to you guys. We are going to be opening a box of the new Commander Legends set for Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons Battle for Baldur's Gate. So I'm going to get this open. Crud, did I not bring anything to open? Okay, you're going to watch me struggle for a few minutes. Meanwhile, Chris, while they laugh at my ineptitude of opening this and being ill-prepared, let's go to the first question. So, manga versus comics, Chris. What do you prefer?
Gosh, you know what? If you had asked me that like 10 years ago, I would have said comics. I had a big old collection of DC comics. I had the Marvel big book of encyclopedic knowledge and everything. And I just thought like, oh, wow, this is amazing. But as of late, I've actually been really getting into manga and anime as a whole. And man, I got to admit, some of those fight scenes, some of those, glorious moments that you can't quite get in comics. Sometimes it's very quick and over, but I think in anime, especially, they flourish in those moments, those filler episodes and everything. So, God, I'm in the middle.
You can't be in the middle. No middle C's here.
All right, then I
yeah. What do you think about that, Chris? Which pile should I start on?
You should do the middle, just like
middle.
Me.
Okay, right up the middle, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you, John?
Oh,
that spectrum.
So I'm actually kind of the opposite as you. Back in like junior high and high school, I was super into manga. Still am into. Real quick, everyone, just if no one's opened a Magic the Gathering booster pack, they come with these art cards now, and it's like a way to give a nod to the artist. Wizards of the Coast is really good about their artists as of late, where essentially, well, actually, there's a hot debate about whether or not they're treating the artists well now, but essentially they've always done this thing where the artist is allowed to use the artwork however they see fit to make additional money. So like this is a way to like show them off. The only exception is they can't produce like it as Magic official product. So like they can use the same image if they want, or the same dragon rather. They can't use the same exact image, but they can't say it's Magic the Gathering official. So that's kind of interesting. So but anyway, oh hang on. So this is something they do for the Dungeons and Dragons. There we go. Dungeons and Dragons sets where they do like this secret art kind of. A lot of the cards have an opportunity to become that. But anyway, so what I was saying, I used to be super into manga, and like One Piece is still one of my favorite forms of entertainment. I freaking love One Piece. But recently I've been getting a lot into comics. And I think it's because there was a lot of lore I missed out on, like throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe and even the DC Cinematic Universes. I thought I knew a lot about it. And as it turns out, I know absolutely nothing. Like, you know, I know some of the funnier things, like there's a Spider-Man version of a pig and stuff like that that came out of the hilarious meme that was the Simpsons movie. But I don't know the deeper lore, you know, like, do you know why the Hulk is literally called the Incredible Hulk?
Because he's really big?
Kind of. So he's the reason he's called the Incredible Hulk is because he's literally invincible. The more angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. There's a funny bit in the comics where he tried to pick up Thor's hammer, but he's not worthy. So no matter how strong or angry he gets, he can't lift it. But he can lift the earth around it. So like he like literally gets to the point where he gets so frustrated and upset that he yanks on the Thor's hammer and he shifts the earth slightly.
Dang.
Yeah. And he's also the only invincible, truly unkillable Avenger. There's a whole storyline in one of the older Marvel universes where Bruce Banner gives up his humanity to the Hulk in order to save the children of the original Avengers so that they could live during a big battle where all the Avengers died. So the Hulk, to pay respects to Bruce Banner's bravery, actually raises the kids and teaches them to be the next round of Avengers.
Oh.
So not to be confused with what is it, the Young Avengers. Though that's a whole different series, but it's the same basic principle. Yeah. But yeah, kind of cool. So I'm gonna say I am currently more into comics, but manga is really close.
Yeah, stylistically, it's very, very like night and day sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I really like that manga deals with more gray area, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, like, so in comic books, especially superhero comics, there's good and there's bad. But like in manga, very few times do you have a distinctly bad guy.
That's true. They're all fighting for something, and they just so happen to be on the opposite side of like the heroes, or yeah.
There's a wonderful quote from a One Piece quote unquote villain, Don Flamingo, who is one of the warlords of one of the warlords of the sea. There's a giant war between the Marines and pirates, and the warlords are kind of hired by the Marines to, like, basically the Marines have a deal with the warlords of the sea that they won't mess with them as long as they come and help the Navy when they need help.
Mm.
And so that he's going up against Whitebeard, who's one of the big pirates of the era. And there's like, you know, the Marines are being very treacherous and using tricks while the pirates are actually fighting honorably. which is kind of like a continuous theme throughout the series. And Don Flamingo even goes in to say, I might have to quote slightly wrong, but it's justice, villains, what's the difference? Who gets to decide what justice is? And then he says that the winner will decide history. The winner will decide what justice is. And then he goes on to continue, at least pirates are honest about being crooked. So it's
veiled authority, or yeah,
exactly. It's just like so I really like that aspect of manga. But like I said, I've been getting really into comics. So at this current point, I'm gonna say I'm more into comics than I am into manga.
Yeah, and sometimes your taste just sort of changes. Sometimes it is nice to just plop in and then just have like a basic good guy versus bad guy. But sometimes you kind of want to get into the moral ambiguity of, and that manga really kind of explores a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Or there's another really great hang on. Focus. The light, the glare from the light. No.
It's too bright.
Is that better?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Another perfect example of this type of thing also is back. Did you ever watch Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Did you ever watch it all the way to the end?
Gosh, it's been a hot minute.
The end as far as like American Yu Yu Hakusho is concerned, anyway.
Gosh, it's been a hot minute. I remember watching. Was that on Toonami?
Yeah, that was on Toonami, and then it got moved to Adult Swim after Toonami like up and left.
Dang, gosh, I'm so old.
Ooh, look at this artwork. A Naga.
I dig that a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was trying to get at though is the last real villain that they went against. So like the final season, there wasn't really a villain per se. It was more just character development and growth to like get everything up to speed and being able to tie it up pretty nicely. But the final villain, his name was Sensui, and he was a spirit detective before Yusuke was. And his whole thing was he became the big bad at the end because he felt humanity had to be eradicated. Because so the whole storyline with the spirit detective is they go into the spirit world or into the human world and kill demons. Demons are bad guys, like through and through. Even the demon world thinks demons are bad guys. But Sensui was recruited at a very young age, like the age of like 8 or something. And he essentially went to this place where humans had opened a gate to the demon world. But what they were doing was they were actually torturing demons and drinking their blood and stuff like that, like as a weird ritual. And like they weren't like even giving them the sympathy to kill them. Like demons were still kept alive, like just barely, just so that they could drink their blood, basically. And since we snapped at that point and was like, oh, so demons aren't the monsters here. Humans are like 1,000 times worse than demons. And that's really stuck with me like my entire life. Like Yu Yu Hakusho came out when we were like young teens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like really stuck with me. Like that's what I think of when I think of manga. It's like you have those morally gray, almost like heroes, but they're considered villains.
Yeah, if their story was just tweaked a little bit, they could very well be heroes in their own right, in their own story. Yeah,
exactly. So highly recommend One Piece, of course, but also highly recommend Yu Yu Hakusho.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, hang on. This isn't scripted. I don't have this down, but I found out today that fucking Netflix is doing a live act. Here, hang on. Where the fuck's my face cam? Okay, let's see. Chris, that fucking Netflix, man, is making a live action One Piece. And why the fuck would they do that? They're gonna fuck up One Piece.
When will they learn?
Dude, Why do they keep doing this? Did you ever watch the live action Death Note that they made?
I was told not to, and I saw the trailer and I was like, eh.
For good reason. For good reason, my friend. Did you watch the live action Cowboy Bebop?
It's in my queue. It's one of those things that got.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Have you ever? Don't watch this. For fuck's sakes, do not watch this. Have you ever watched the live action Dragon Ball movie?
Oh no, but I've seen.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. I wouldn't. You know how I was saying how since we watched demons get tortured? I'm pretty sure they were playing this in the background while they were torturing the demons. That's how bad this is.
It's on loop. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so I guess that does kind of segue in nicely though. Why can they not make a good live action anime?
Gosh,
name one. Name one good live action anime.
I off the top of my head, there hasn't been any.
Exactly. I bet you there have been more good video game adapted movies than fucking anime adapted movies.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment, honestly. There's something intrinsic about like anime where true to form, like the artistic expression is so hard to devolve into live action. With I mean, for example, like Attack on Titan, the artwork and everything is very realistic essentially, but what they do with the action and the camera work and everything that's like preconceived in that regard, I don't think translates really well into live action or anything of that kind of medium.
Yeah. Oh, look at this squirrel token.
He's straight up. But yeah, Netflix has too much money and it needs to save it for not documentaries, not live action anime, but I think in more original series, honestly. I think that's where they're going to differentiate between themselves and Hulu and Disney and so on and so forth.
You know, it's kind of funny. Me and my parents came to visit, and my parents and I started discussing how Netflix has not had a good series in years. Like, and yet still somehow Netflix is the top of its game.
Yeah.
They don't even have like the biggest library anymore. Like, I would say Disney definitely has them beat with sheer number. And then like Hulu definitely has them beat as far as like TV series.
Oh yeah.
And then HBO Max, I'm pretty sure has them beat as far as like AAA movies.
Yeah, I mean Warner Brothers owns a lot of those IP titles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't understand, why is Netflix still at the top of its game?
I think people just forgot how to unsubscribe, and they're just like, it's $10 or whatever.
All right. So I do remember this actually. I have been paying for Netflix since I was in high school. Because my parents didn't trust the internet really, so I had to like be the one to use my debit card to pay for it. And like, so I had it back when they would send you a DVD in the mail and you would send it back.
Classic.
I had to put a disc. The way I watched it on TV on my TV is I had to put a disc into my Nintendo Wii, and it would load up the Netflix app, and then I could watch what they had to stream.
God, dude, that like unlocked like a memory back over here. Like,
yeah,
the Wii did read DVDs.
Yeah. But anyway, like, and back then I think I paid like $9.99 or $5.99, something like that.
Yeah,
it was cheap. But I remember telling myself if it ever got up to like $15, I would stop. And now we're almost at $20. It's like $19.99, and I'm still like, yeah, $30, $30 this time.
You're moving the goalpost.
Yeah, and I don't understand why though. Like, me and Amanda, we watch like a handful of stuff on Netflix, and then everything else is on Disney Plus or Hulu. So why am I paying $20 a month just to watch like one series a month or something?
Yeah, and I mean Disney has that bundle where it's like Hulu and ESPN. I think if Netflix is going to want to survive, it has to pair with something to bump up that content because, oof.
But like, who are they going to pair with? No one wants to work with Netflix.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I mean, I think it is hard because Netflix was one of the biggest early streaming platforms, and you kind of have a fondness for it. You know, it's like an old friend that comes by. He's like, you can't throw him out. Oh my gosh.
Describe this picture. I want you to describe what's going on in this picture.
He
Is this dude throwing a hamster?
It looks like it. He looks like he's straight up like throwing.
Oh, the flavor text. Boo, let's see how this miscreant handles a furry missile of justice.
So yeah, it's launched.
I fucking love it. New favorite card. That one right there. That's my favorite.
That's the go-to artwork now.
Yep. Whoever the artist that did this, hang on. Brian Valeza. Brian, make more like this. I want a whole like chipmunk or hamster typing. Make it happen.
Have him toss Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yes.
Secret art, yeah.
Secret art. Secret jutsu. Oh God. But yeah. What were we talking? Oh yeah, Netflix being shitty.
How could you forget?
Yeah. But like, who is Netflix going to pair with?
That's a good question. I mean, Netflix still has money. If they're not going to burn it on live action animes, I say invest in original programming. Like I know the last big thing was the Tiger King, but that was because everyone was in quarantine. And
I still don't understand why the Tiger King was so like why everyone was so ape shit about it. Me and Amanda tried to watch that and we could not get into it.
Yeah, I couldn't either. Like the first 15 minutes, I was just kind of like, of course he's from Oklahoma. Of course he's like there's
you have experience with that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But but you to your point, yeah, Netflix hasn't came out with like a blockbuster hit that everyone. I mean, I know people are still hearkening to Stranger Things, but even that is starting to kind of lose its appeal. I don't think it ever reached the height of like, let's say, Game of Thrones or anything of that caliber. I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, and I could just be talking out of my butt.
I mean, we probably are. Like, we're not experts here, but
my perception of it is, yeah, Netflix has kind of got too comfy. It was a big fish in a small pond. And then circa 2010, when things started really ramping up between Disney and Hulu and everything, I think it's got to strategize now, or it's going to be just another smaller platform and just going to bite the dust eventually.
Yeah, like basically evolve or die.
Yeah, same thing with the Blockbuster. Like, you had every opportunity, and it's like, no, we're too big to fail. We're too big. And then a recession happened, and all of a sudden people aren't wanting to spend that $10, $15.
I'm really glad you brought that up because that's like a common thread. Like, people get super comfy with what exists, and then they like forget that something else was the top of its game before like it died, you know, like somebody bought there was a horse farmer or something just before Ford created the first car, and that horse farmer was the top of his game, and then all of a sudden fucking this nobody comes out of nowhere with this contraption that could go like the same speed as your horse but requires less like physical labor.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at me, I got an assembly line.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always a precursor to what led to now, and I think Netflix is kind of grappling with that. It's they can't reevaluate what they want, then yeah, they're gonna fall to the wayside. Whoa, is that a deer?
It's a robot elk.
Whoa.
And look, there's a real elk behind it in the corner.
What you doing there, boy?
At least I think it's a real elk. Maybe it's also a robot.
We're all robots.
Aren't we, though?
Yeah.
Who? What was it? You out? No. Oh, everything's an ad. That's what we had going on.
Yeah, in our group message, yeah, everything turns into an ad.
Yep.
This whole entire thing has been brought to you by NordVPN. So give us money.
Not really, but seriously, NordVPN, if you'd like to sponsor an episode of the podcast, we'd be down.
We want our IPs saved and also
yep. I already spent my money with NordVPN, so I'm willing to give it a good review.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to pick this side now to open. So that we kind of got off on a tangent there, but basically the next topic I wanted to bring up was kind of in the same vein as comics versus manga and all that. How do you feel about superhero movies now? And how did you, compared to how you felt when the Marvel universe was starting to come out in theaters?
Man, that is a really good question. When it first came out, when I first saw the first Iron Man back in 2008, oh God, I thought it was revolutionary. Like I was very much a 90s kid who grew up on the cheesy Saturday morning cartoon Spider-Man and X-Men. And I always thought that was cool. I always thought crossovers and everything were really interesting. So when they first released like the Avengers, like I thought, wow, I've lived a complete life. I've seen it come full circle from animation to live action. But the magic for me is kind of gone. Like after Avengers Endgame, everything after that kind of fell by the wayside for me. I really didn't watch Captain Marvel, or I skipped a few of the movies right after. Because I mean, once you save the universe, it's kind of hard to get excited. Like that guy.
This thing is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, no, that's straight up like paralysis demon level.
But hang on, also there is someone on the art, like there's an artist out there that has a kink, and I think we need to talk about this kink.
Yeah,
describe this for the people not watching but listening.
It's some kind of reptiloid person in a dress.
It's a dragon in a dress. And I feel really uncomfortable. I don't know why.
We're on that weird side of the internet.
Yeah, I feel like we entered that weird side of the internet for sure. Anyway, continue. So you're a little bit, would you say, worn out from all of the back-to-back Marvel movies?
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't watched Doctor Strange, and I still didn't watch the Spider-Man before it, because honestly, again, along with the golden age of television, it's hard to sit down and say, oh, it's another toss.
It's a hamster token. Is this the same guy? No, this is a different artist. This one is Zoltan Boris. Boris, I love you.
We gotta do our own picture art for it, and we'll put it on the office. Just a bunch of us just throwing gerbils at the camera.
Oh, Jesus. Do I wait? How unethical is it if I went out and bought hamsters just to throw at a camera?
I'm sure PETA will get us like instantaneously.
So what you're saying is we are going to become internet famous after I post that video.
For all the wrong reasons, yeah.
I mean, does it really matter?
That's true. I mean, Logan Paul still has a career.
I know. Did he like freaking film a dead body or something and laugh about it?
Oh yeah, he went to.
Or is that Jake Paul?
Forest. I just looped them up as one.
But yeah, like I think we might be onto something, Chris. I want you to go to your local PetSmart. Find out how much hamsters are.
Go up to the cashier. Which one's the most aerodynamic?
That's a good way to get the cops called on you, my dude. But I feel kind of like Kenan and Kel. Did you ever watch that as a kid?
Oh yeah.
And at the end, like Kel was always telling Kenan, like, "Hey, I need you to get me this, this, and this." And it's like absurd stuff. That's how I felt when I was telling you, I need you to go to your local PetSmart and like ask how much a hamster is.
Gerbil, catapult, let's go.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah,
my cheeks are hurting. I'm smiling too much.
right. um, but yeah, I think I feel the same way as you, kind of, with the superhero movies. Hang on.
Oh, it felt like a band-aid. Oof.
But yeah, with the superhero movies, I feel the same way. It's like I used to be super excited for the next Marvel movie, and now I haven't even seen, like, and also I think Disney Plus is partially to blame because everything comes out to Disney Plus for like free like a month later after it's in theaters. But I'm always like, oh, I'll just wait till it comes to Disney Plus to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of undercuts the movie theater experience.
Well, also, like, it's not a great projector, but I have a projector in our guest room with like a small surround sound setup. And like, honestly, it does the job. It does the job almost as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, especially with the pandemic, like having it for almost 2 years. At first, I thought I was kind of like nostalgic for it, like going back to the theaters, but then stepping on like the sticky floors and
yeah, you start to realize theaters actually aren't all that great.
Yeah, you kind of get almost accustomed to watching it on just a bigger screen at home.
Yeah, and I mean, like, why would you want to spend like 30? Like, how much is a theater ticket for you and your girlfriend?
Gosh, here in California, I think last time I paid was like $13.50 per ticket, so almost $27.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like easily like $30 roughly for the tickets, and then you're looking at another 20 to 30 for like drinks and food.
Yeah, even with like the coupons that they give you, I mean, it's still like a $50-$60 day to watch in a theater that can be hit or miss. It depends on the crowd too.
Yeah, you know, there's always those annoying kids that are like running around and stuff.
Especially
that's why me and Amanda go to the theaters that have like the reclining chairs and stuff and pay a little bit extra, because like no one wants to bring their kid if their kid's just going to disrupt their own enjoyment if they're paying like $2 extra.
Yeah, you can't. It's almost like an investment, honestly.
Yeah, but like, yeah. Oh yeah, I don't think we mentioned, but that gerbil hamster is the cover art also.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Disney Plus has definitely spoiled me, but also I think I'm just not as into the superhero universes anymore because I know there's just going to be another one.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt with the Star Wars movie, knowing that like, hey, every year or every 2 years we're gonna get one, instead of letting it be an event and let it breathe naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I still want to see Thor because I love that character. But if Disney said like, hey, wait 3 weeks, you can watch it on Disney Plus, then I'm more inclined to just stay home and not have to go through the rigmarole of going to a theater per se.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of in the same vein, we were talking about how you feel about the MCU. Are you more of a DC movie guy or the MCU?
Oh man.
And then in comics, are you more of a DC Comics guy or an MCU?
I have to give Marvel like the utmost respect. I mean, they laid out the foundation of how to run a universe. DC kind of loved it. Yeah, for like all intents and purposes. Like I watched Batman versus Superman and I was just not impressed. It just seemed rushed. I didn't feel connected to the characters. And again, Marvel strikes a balance between emotional but also keeping jokes in to keep it light, you know. I mean, watching that in theaters for the DC comic movies, it's so dark and gritty and kind of feels forced. So in the movie regards, I got to give it to MC, to Marvel Cinematic Universe. But on the flip side, I also really like, whoa.
Sorry, I had to.
Of course, you know, you had to. But I will give DC credit, and as far as I really like their animated DVD stuff. Batman under the Red Hood and stuff. I feel is like a really good adaptation of those comics, of the grittier side of it. And sometimes Marvel is kind of formulaic. Like, you know that the heroes are going to survive, you know that, you know, the villains are going to lose, and a lot of the times they're very generic. But I don't know, that those DC animated ones are kind of like my guilty pleasure, to be honest. But I mean, what about you when it comes
so it's kind of the same vein. So I am more of a Marvel movie guy, and comic guy, but the cartoons, the Saturday morning cartoons, I feel like DC was miles ahead of Marvel. I remember growing up watching the Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond is killer. I think I told you when I was laid up with COVID back in August, I binged Static Shock and also Batman Beyond, as well as the Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League Unlimited. Essential storylines brought to the small screen. I love that stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like DC really knocked out of the park with their like late 90s, early 2000s animation. And this is just me being an adult now, but I don't feel like they've kept that up.
The quality's kind of dipped a little bit, but I think their department is still strong. I don't remember any Marvel shows outside of the live action, like the animated stuff, that really stuck. Like, I knew there was an Amazing Spider-Man one, but I mean, it was
I did watch the Amazing Spider-Man. I was pretty into that. I was also into Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man or something like that, where he ended up on a different planet and he got the camouflage suit and everything.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. He had a broken
and
everything. Yeah,
right. It was like that was like the standard thing for stuff to do in like the late 90s. Like, that was the same time you had Power Rangers Lost in Space.
Yeah, you did.
Which was also one of the best Power Rangers. Someone fight me. I will fight you over that. But yeah, or no, was it Lost in Space? No, or Lost Galaxy or something like that.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's so many now.
Is Power Rangers still a thing? Like, are they still making Power Rangers?
I think they celebrated a 30th anniversary or something like that.
No way. Here, hang on. All right. How do I share my screen?
Yeah, they had all like the Red Rangers come back on screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We are going to do some research. What was it?
Power Rangers
2022.
Of course, Netflix. Thank you, Netflix.
Hang on. Will there be a production on February 19, 2022? Hasbro revealed at Toy Fair 2022 that the next Power Rangers adaptation would be based off the 2016 animal-based Super Sentai season. What the fuck does this? Read this, Chris. Read this.
Dobutsu Sentai.
The Z word.
Zyoger. Oh god, I'm gonna get lambasted.
Yeah. So apparently they're on their 30th season, which is very impressive. But yeah. All right. So no more screen sharing for right now. So now we know. There's still Power Rangers to be watched. But yeah. I haven't opened up a pack for a little bit. Which stack?
Let's go the right. It seems
this one or this one?
Right. Yeah, let's go this one. Wherever I'm pointing. Yeah, that one. Let's do that one.
This one?
Yeah, I have a good feeling.
Okay. So, but yeah. How do we get on the Power Rangers?
we were we were to backspace out of everything. We were talking about animated features and
Oh yeah, and then we got on the '90s and all that. We need a whole episode dedicated to the '90s.
I'd be down. I'd be so
Okay. It's going to cost some money, so if we get to like 1,000 subscribers or something like that, yeah, 1,000 subscribers, we will do a '90s. We will do a 1990s episode, and for that pack opening, I will try to track down a Pokemon booster box from the '90s and open it on YouTube.
Jungle set.
Yeah. Like it's going to cost some money, so we need to hit like 1,000 subscribers so we can actually start making a little bit of money here.
Oh, NordVPN.
Yeah. Hashtag NordVPN, hook it up, my dudes. I will tote your greatness if you just buy us the Jungle booster box. Like if you buy us that Jungle booster box and send it our way, unlimited or first edition, doesn't matter, or second edition. But yeah, like seriously, that would just make my day.
No, honestly, I love the Ken Sugimori artwork from the 90s. Gosh, when I was flicking through my old Pokemon cards, I got like this blast of nostalgia. I was like, oh, Pikachu, fat Pikachu.
I like how now, after everyone ridiculed Pokemon for getting rid of the fat Pikachu, that they are bringing it back in like newer sets.
Yeah, or even what is it, Gigantamax Pikachu?
Yeah.
The Pikachus.
I want my Pikachu thick.
Portly, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that I would love to do it. I mean, honestly, I think that the coolest thing to do would be to get those sets and play those theme decks that they used to in the 90s when Wizard of the Coast was printing out those Pokemon cards. It's just such a weird thing from like the meta of today versus back then where it was just what, Mewtwo with Cyburn.
Was it you I was talking to about the price of old Magic the Gathering cards?
I don't think so.
Okay, hang on. Okay, this is a heartbreaker here. So a lot of our listeners, if they're into Magic, will probably know this. But back when I was a kid in like 94 or 95, during the first run of Magic the Gathering, they released the starter decks that were all identical. Like every single card in them were exactly the same. And a friend of my brother's worked at a Walmart, and he stole an entire case of them, which had like 20 of these starter decks, and gave them to me for a birthday present. Okay. So as a dumb kid, I opened them and tore them all up for the most part, destroyed them. The rest of them burnt in a fire that burnt down my parents' house. Now, fast forward to now, there was a card called Manifold. We're talking the original Alpha Manifold. Chris, do you want to guess how much the original Manifold from that starter deck would be? Remember, there was like 20 of them in this box. I opened up 20 of these fucking decks. Each one had one Manifold.
Maybe like $60 or what?
Oh, no. Much higher. I'm going to give you 3 more guesses.
200? Oh shit. 400? Oh crap. I'm gonna spring on and say maybe 600.
Higher, much higher.
Oh god, there goes my 3 guesses.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple more guesses because I'm trying to pull it up so I can share it on my screen.
Dang. And to know that you had at one point in your possession at one point. Golly, that makes me sad sometimes to think about. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it the other day. Just being a dummy. I found the original like 2-player.
Can you see what I'm pointing to?
That's You could have bought a house.
Dude, I had at least minimum of 20 of these. Minimum of 20 of these. I remember this card. I remember this card too. Like, I remember it vividly, like in my fucking mind's eye. Like,
whoa, what a cool card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, dude. Pretty fucking much. Yeah, no, there's other variations that you weren't wrong about. Like, this guy's like $54, $47.
Oh, okay. For like
this guy's like $1,500. This is the beta version, but this was the alpha version. This was the version I had.
You could have straight up bought a
house. Dude, don't even get me started on that. I have, even after a TCG player takes their cut, and even if I undercut this by like $300, I would still have probably close to $100,000 in Mana Vault. That's not counting those starter decks. I can't remember what else was in them because this is like the big standout to me. But they had other cards that are sought after because they are old and almost impossible to find in good condition. Dang, my parents told me to hold on to these cards, that one day they would be worth money. I said, lol, YOLO, before YOLO was even a thing.
What do you know about cards?
Exactly. Like, I spat in their faces, and now they have freaking every right to laugh at me for not owning a house.
Could you imagine though saying like going to a bank and just putting down 20 of those cards like to get a loan?
Oh my god.
Right this way, sir. It's
right? Like, like they start sweating and like bring out armed guards to like escort me.
Oh, you could have gotten like a suitcase like a Kaiba.
You know, I just realized like freaking this is more like space efficient than our currency is. Like 20 of those cards is $120,000. Do you know what $120,000 even $100 bills would look like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you compress it into this little thing versus big old stacks of cash.
Yeah. Is it kind of funny that we spent more money on less paper?
That is the actual magic. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even. My mind's blown right now, Chris.
Yeah. So come visit us at Card Pantheon and buy some of our products. So
yes, please. Allow me to buy a house with trading cards. That's my goal. So we got really off topic, but I need to share that. I was sharing that with my parents while they were here, and they kind of laughed at me.
Yeah, I wish I would listen to my parents more often, honestly.
Oh yeah, for real, dude. But we have one more thing to talk about, and that is famous nerds. So this guy is the UFC middleweight champion from a couple years ago. And Chris, can you hear this?
I can't hear it on my end, but
okay. Hopefully other people can hear it. But essentially, actually, you know what? We're just going to mute it. You can see it though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the dude is a huge Naruto fan. His favorite character is Rock Lee. So he's talking about his fight. And basically, his weigh-in, during the weigh-ins of his fight, he takes the pose Rock Lee takes. And his opponent takes the same stance that Gaara takes. He didn't even mean to do it. It's just, that's just a standard pose. But it hyped this guy up beyond all belief.
Got the art and everything.
Yep. Pretty amazing, right? So how do you feel? All right, so last time I asked you, how do you feel about famous people becoming the poster boys or poster girls for nerd life? Now I'm going to ask you, how do you feel knowing that most nerds can kick the fuck out of a jock now?
It's yeah, honestly, it's
he hit the Rock Lee again.
Yeah, honestly, it's super exciting to see that as the next generation comes in, that they share a lot of what we grew up with, and I watched this interview, and the fact that he's not like ashamed or having a cower or like backpedal, like he truly believes and drew inspiration from this, and that's, I mean, which one of us when we were younger didn't want to be like Goku or didn't want to be like Rock Lee, like his, like again,
Yeah.
training hard, overcoming obstacles. I mean, those are really good life lesson stuff, and honestly, like I give him immense credit for not only doing that, but then even his entourage and everybody were super supportive of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at any point, especially if you're super nerdy, that's kind of how you and your friends kind of interacted.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's able to capitalize and do what he loves and made a career out of it, I mean, that's again super stunning, and all that much more props to him.
So I'm gonna do awful and mispronounce his name, but Israel Adesanya. Sanya.
That looks about right. Yeah.
You're the GOAT, man. We love you. You were talking about which one of us didn't want to grow up to be Goku. I definitely want to be Goku.
Mhm.
Would you say that we grew up with Dragon Ball Z? Like Goku, we grew up with him. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna turn this on your head. I'm gonna turn this whole thing upside down now because I had this moment. I recently rewatched Naruto from the beginning when he was a Chunin all the way up until the moment he became Hokage.
Dang.
We do not talk about Boruto. That is trash. But I watched all the way up to where he became Hokage. And it occurred to me, we didn't grow up with Goku. We were kids when Goku was already an adult.
Yeah.
We grew up with Naruto. Think about it. He was like 11 or 12. We were like 11 or 12 when Naruto came out. We watched him. We became teenagers with Shippuden when he was a teenager. We were going through the same life stages. We went through loss the same time Jiraiya died. We were going through, a lot of us, our first loss. And then, now just recently over the last like 5-6 years is when he became Hokage and had a family of his own. He got married to Hinata. That's pretty much the same timeline most of us are getting married, having kids, settling down. So I'm going to make the argument, we did not grow up with Dragon Ball Z. We did not grow up with Goku. We grew up with Naruto.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. We grew up with Naruto, but we aspired to, be like again, just overcoming obstacles, especially when you're even a small kid. Like there's always obstacles in your life, and the fact that you still fight, you still persevere on. Yeah, those indelible moments you can't make into live action. You just
you can't, dude. I started crying because when Jiraiya died. Yeah. I'm not even worried about spoilers at this point. If you haven't watched that part of Naruto, you're lame. You don't deserve to be watching this show.
Yeah.
But and I'll die on that hill. No, I started to cry just like a couple days before my parents got here. My wife looks at me and she goes, "What are you crying about?" And I'm like, "I'm not crying. It's not like I've seen this 1,000 times already."
Not pervy sage.
Yeah, just like he. Like, I don't know, like when Naruto hurts, I kind of hurt. It's weird.
It's again growing up and becoming accustomed to seeing things and getting, you think everything's going to be there forever, and it makes it that much bittersweet when they're gone.
Once again, there's another quote actually, since I just rewatched Naruto. Shikamaru, you remember Shikamaru, right?
Yeah, the shadow.
Yeah. But basically, Shikamaru was trying to pull Naruto out of his slump after Jiraiya passed away. And Shikamaru in the storyline had just gone through something very similar, where his sensei had been killed by the Akatsuki. So he had to grow up like really fast. Asuma. Awesome ninja also. But anyway, Asuma, before he dies, tells Shikamaru to take care of his kid that he was having with what's her name, Kusinai or something like that. Kurenai, yeah, Kurenai. And anyway, so Shikamaru really goes in on that and like is like, I will defend this child. You know, it's my sensei's dying wish. And he takes Naruto to go see Kurenai while she's still pregnant. And he says, my sensei left me with stuff to do. I'm sure yours did too. We can't sit around being kids anymore. It's time for us to raise the next generation if we want to be cool ninja like Jiraiya and Asuma.
They got to live their lives and write their own story. Now it's our time to fill in our chapters.
Yep.
And that, yeah, absolutely. Oof.
I don't know. That really speaks to me now, especially since I'm having a kid soon. So, you know.
Yeah, it puts things in perspective, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. It was when I was watching it recently that I realized, like, I'm not saying Goku and Dragon Ball Z didn't have its moments. It definitely did. You know, you can look at like when Vegeta sacrificed himself to try to take out Boo. You know, that was completely selfless, and he did it for his son. You know, but as a rule of thumb, like that wasn't as impactful because we watched that when we were like 5-6 years old. You know?
You're absolutely right. Now that I'm like really piecing it together, yeah, Naruto really did grow, and so did we in the same kind of timeline.
And I don't think enough people give it its rightful place. Like, it's definitely always going to be one of the big anime. That's why there's a spin-off called Boruto, you know, and it's widely successful even though people hate it, you know.
We want to see the continuation, but we will always have a soft spot for, you know, a simpler time. And,
yep.
You know.
Yeah, you know, it's just I don't know. It's just I'm getting goosebumps, dude. Like just talking about it.
I know. Me too. My ears are all raised.
But yeah, it's crazy to think about because most of my life, if you would have asked me what anime I grew up with, it would have been Dragon Ball Z 100%. I would have defended Dragon Ball Z till the end of time. I still will. But when I started watching it again as an adult, I was like, oh shit, I actually understand Naruto so much more.
Yeah, and how many medians do you have that with? Like, again, talking about MCU and DC, again, there are these stoic heroes that, you know, make sacrifice and stuff, but I think in anime, they have such a much more time to let it breathe and to let characters interact and stuff that, again, not to harp on Netflix again, but you can't really capture in live action.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about the anime we talked about. Like, most of these are multiple hundreds, if not thousands of episodes long, you know? They're built up over 20 years.
Huge arcs, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no multiverses, so it's not like you can just completely redo everything.
Or reset switch. Or,
yeah, you know, so you know what? I said at the beginning of this episode that I was more comics than manga. Talking about anime and all this made me realize I am still team manga.
Yeah, you came around, didn't you?
Yep. Full circle on this podcast. Yeah, no, because you just don't get that with even comics because there's always like 3, 4, 5 years down the line, they're just doing a different universe, you know, where, you know, it's instead of Peter Parker, it's Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Instead of the freaking white Captain Marvel, it's the Latino or Latina's Captain Marvel, you know, it's
reinventing itself to the point where it's hard to have a connection.
Yeah, like you still want to like it because you're like in this fandom, this is your identity, but it doesn't give you anything to hold on to. It's like it almost doesn't care if its old fans stick around. It only cares about the new fans.
Chasing after, what's trending or what's fashionable now versus anime, which is just telling the story.
Yeah.
In a very linear fashion, yeah.
Well, you know, also a lot of these anime manga artists start doing this out of passion. Like they want to write a story, and most of them submit like 1 or 2 pieces of work to Shonen Jump, and they get a one shot, and then it takes off from there. You know, where I feel not that they make a lot of money, but I feel a lot of comic artists get into the comic scene trying to chase some clout.
For sure, I'm sure that there's a big section of that. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't want to get too far into that, but like I said, just getting goosebumps, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely.
But yeah, on to other things. So me, you, and the other guys have talked about doing D&D, right?
Mhm.
Have you ever played D&D, or have you ever had any interest in it up till now?
Yes, I actually had a back in 2016 a group of about 5 to 6 people that we did a Dungeons and Dragon campaign, and our dungeon master, hell of a guy, really good storyteller. Every single time we'd get goosebumps, and once we all started getting different jobs, it was harder to get a time where everything worked out. So kind of fell by the wayside. But some of the best memories sitting around for 2 to 3 hours, you know, doing stupid things and making the dungeon master hella mad because it's like, you can't do that. Oh, yeah. But how about you?
Yeah, so me and Amanda both played Dungeons and Dragons with a group of our friends for the better part of like 3 years, from like 2017 until about 2020 when the pandemic hit.
Oh,
And then after that we just didn't play. It was hard, and then I tried to play a little bit online with a mutual friend of mine and yours, Alan.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't D&D, it was Pathfinder, but very basic, same basics.
Oh, for sure.
And we did that like 5 or 6 times, and then it was just super hard for all of us to get together, even online.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I'm trying to get the guys together, you, Chris, of course, and the rest of the owners of Card Pantheon, and we want to record us playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I went out and bought some stuff. So this is the
Oh.
essentials kit. I figured since it was my idea, I would DM while you guys created characters. And also the player's handbook.
Dang.
And I bought some dice because they were actually free with all the purchases.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, so we are going to try to do Dungeons and Dragons sometime in the next month or so. We are going to get together for 2 or 3 hours and record the first couple episodes. But Chris, since you have some experience with Dungeons and Dragons, what class do you want to play?
I'm hella boring, but I did like a hunter class when I first did it, and I had like a wolf companion, and I remember just having so much fun because I would always try doing stupid stuff. Everyone else took it really seriously, and I was like, come on, let's throw a little bit of fun in here. So I would always try doing like trick shot arrows and stuff, and like 2s and 3s and stuff.
So you play like a ranger class?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I've played different classes every time I've played a different campaign or something. So there are 3 classes that I've played. I've played a rogue, and I've played a bard, and I've played a druid. I always tend to go super in on whatever I'm doing, so like I'm like super in character the whole time. So when I played my rogue, he was a gnome, and he was a kleptomaniac, and he's part of the Thieves Guild. So I derailed our entire campaign because our first fight was against a lich, and the lich wasn't in its full power because liches are crazy. They would kill a first-time party, but it was like a weakened lich. So the idea was we were supposed to kill the lich in its weakened state, grab his grab his amulet, and then travel around with it. And it would slowly gain experience basically during the fights, and then the full-blown lich would come out at the end. Well, we were supposed to cast an Arcana check to make sure there was no curses or anything, so we could safely like grab the thing.
Yeah.
But me being a klepto, I saw shiny, and so I rolled to grab it before anyone else, and I rolled a nat 20.
Of course.
And so I grabbed that thing. Do you want to guess what happened?
It came out and just wrecked shop.
Kind of. So it cursed all of us. Each of us lost a different body part to it. And also it weakened the amulet more to where the campaign couldn't continue on, basically.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So like we were playing around with like our party is like a half. Like I had only one hand. I only had one hand for a good chunk of this campaign. We finally got the curse taken off, but yeah. So like I derailed the entire campaign with that one.
A huge setback.
Yeah. The other one, my druid, he was the most eligible bachelor. He was a dwarf. And anyway, my DM that time around always felt like they were picking on me. So I purposely picked like all of the best ways to hide and stuff. So I had like stone, was it like stone merge or something where you can meld into the stone walls. And so they sent a dragon on us. And I just noped out of there for the entire fight, let my whole party die. That's how we ended. That's how the campaign ended.
Did he stand up? It's like, I lived.
Yep. I noped out, and then I waited a prerequisite amount of time before the dragon would de-aggroed, basically. And then I popped out, got out of the dungeon, and lived a peaceful life in the country. No one knew what I had done.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But I had a lot of cool stuff too. Like I had a staff that could grow into a tree. Like it was like a 50-foot, or it was like a 200-foot tall tree and 50-foot wide or something like that. So it was a big tree. And one time we were fighting like a dinosaur, like a T-Rex. So I used spider climb, which allows you to stick to walls and stick to surfaces, to climb up to him, slam my fist into his mouth, and made the staff grow into a giant tree to kill him.
Oh, see, yeah, no, that's big brain right there, yeah.
Yep. And then my last character, the last character I was playing before the pandemic hit, was a bard who was a slave who only had the name 23. Like that was its name, was 23. And she was sold into sex slavery. So her dear friend helped her escape but died doing so. That was her traumatic backstory. And so throughout the entire story, I tried to fuck my way to the top. I went down a really political route and fucked my way to the top and got demon herpes. Sorry, it was demon syphilis. I had to roll in secret at the beginning of each session to see if my demon syphilis would have its effect, or if my pills would protect me. By the way, demon syphilis, for those of you who are wondering, is a real thing in D&D. My DM had to like cringe while he Googled this. And apparently I'm not the only shithead in the D&D universe. Because people have made specific rules for this sort of event. And demon syphilis makes you use 2 of your spell casts. For those of you that don't know, in D&D, you're only allowed to cast a certain number of spells in each tier before you can no longer cast spells until you do a long rest. If your demon syphilis kicks in, you are using double spell points, basically.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep. So those were my 3 characters.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love the moments in between, because like as you're gearing up and stuff, and there's like a little bit of witty banter. Like I know when I was there, a lot of people drink and stuff, so towards the end of the night, things kind of got a little weird. But yeah, no, those are just some of my favorite moments. So the fact that we're going to be able to do something like a facsimile of that is really nice.
Yep. So I'm hoping to get that all squared away and started off sometime this next couple of weeks. But you know what? We've taken up enough of each other's time as well as the audience's time, Chris. So is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we end it here?
Just that NordVPN is the best. And no, I'm just, thanks for tuning in, and we have really great things in store, honestly. And yeah, just keep checking us out, honestly. I mean, we're just all here to have fun and play card games,
Yep. All I would like to say, first of all, NordVPN, I second that. I will sing your praises. Secondly, I'm going to shout this out until Post Malone actually acknowledges me, Senpai. Post Malone Senpai, please hit us up. We'd love to have you on the channel. Seriously, dude. And then last but not least, stay tuned for the future. Remember, look for the dancing zombie, and you have a chance to win this. All you have to do is be the first one to tag the timestamp where the zombie first appears, and then we will get in touch with you and ship this out to you. And don't forget, the first one is still a mystery what you're going to get, but we still have a dancing zombie to be found on the first video as well. So yeah, find that guy. And besides that, yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight, and we hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, guys, and don't forget NordVPN.
Peace. Post Malone.
Come visit us.